What's going on? My name is Chris Rubio, and you are watching your new favorite show, Decades, on the NGBN.TV network. Oh, we've got a doozy today for episode 6 of Decades. You guys are doing a great job of sharing and subscribing on YouTube and all other avenues of social media. We're getting some good progress. People are letting us know about the panel, who they like, who they don't like, and basically the topics. And so this topic you're going to really love. But before we get to the topic, let me get to the panelists. First off is my co-host, Ed McAndrew, not McAndrews. He does everything, but also we're not sure what he also does because he does so much that he does let's just go with everything. Ed, what's up, my man?
Mr. Rubio, welcome back from vacay. Good to see you again, my friend. I know the guys are ready to get this one started since we had a week off. So without further ado, let's bring them on.
Let's bring it on. Let's representing our 30s tonight. We have no 20s, but our 30s. This is Joe Nolan. He resides in Philadelphia. He's an entrepreneurial spirit, works in real estate and small business finance at a tech startup and community involvement, and loves to argue just as much as I do. Joe, what up, my man?
Hey, Rubio. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Let's go to our 40s. This is a Los Angeles, California, born and raised. He's an educator out there. He's a UCLA grad student. Oh, not a grad student. He graduated from UCLA and also one of the top wide receivers in the history of the Bruins. Give it up for Jimmy McElroy.
Evening, gents.
Now let's move on to our 50s. This person is a native of Idaho. He's a cybersecurity consultant. He enjoys outdoors and guns. Give it up for James Gingrich.
Good to see you guys.
Now we've got two 60-year-olds because this is such a little hot topic. The first 60-year-old is going to be an Idaho native. He's a recently retired magistrate. I don't know what it is. He's bottom line. He's really high up in the legal field. He's an outdoorsman and a wine connoisseur. Get it for Jay Gaskill, also known as the Judge.
District Judge, thank you.
I thought you were a magistrate too. Isn't that something?
It's below a district judge.
Same thing. All right. He's a high judge. We'll say that. And last but certainly not least is Bill Geiser. He's also going to be representing our 60s. He resides in Tampa, Florida, is a serial entrepreneur, an innovator of wearable tech, and has 2 outstanding sons. What's up, Geiser?
Hello, people. Greetings from the free state of Florida.
All right, let's get right into it. I normally give you a nice little bio, little intro of what we're going to talk about, but I have a feeling you guys want to kind of get going on this one. The topic for episode 6 is the indictment of President Donald Trump, Donald J. Trump. I say the indictment of El Trumpo. Today, he had 34 cases of felonies for falsification of business records. Number 1, Judge, is this just a political persecution?
Well, there's a lot of speculation that it's politically biased, but I think the important thing is probably that it's certainly a novel legal theory that they're bringing. I don't know that it's politically motivated, however, given Trump's history.
You wouldn't say it's politically motivated. Bill Geiser, would you say it's politically motivated?
I would. Yeah, I can't really comment on the law, but it sure feels like it's a political hit job. And, you know, when you take a step back and see what's happened since 2020, I mean, we've had the Department of Justice targeting parents who go to school board meetings complaining about the education that their kids are, the sexual education their kids are given. You've got what, in my opinion, is not equal justice for the Antifa BLM people that got arrested versus the January 6th. And then last but not least, there was the administration's attempt at forming the Disinformation Board under the Department of Homeland Security, led by that kook singing the Mary Poppins song. So, yeah, it feels political.
Joe Nolan, is it political?
No, the only reason he wasn't indicted previously is because of politics. You know, realistically, if we were in a society where everyone was treated equally, he would have been indicted on multiple different charges over his political and even previous to that in his real estate career. But money and power buys you a different level of justice. And I think that this is the first time his actions have caught up with him. And this is a very simple case to follow. He lied. He didn't report things that were political contributions that were. And as a result of that, he got charged with a state crime.
What crime is that?
You don't lose a republic by charging former presidents with crimes. You lose a republic by not charging former presidents with crimes.
Okay, so you're open to charging former presidents now, like with any
Absolutely.
crime.
Honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that we haven't signed on to a lot of these international treaties, you could make a great case for every president since Jimmy Carter should be pulled in front of the Hague for war crimes.
Okay, Jimmy Mack, do you think it's political?
I think it's political. I think it's, a lot of things that can go. I think it's just people trying to get even with Trump. I mean, we're looking at a person whose moral compass is as low as Antarctica. So I think people are trying to throw anything against the wall to get him. So they'll start here with political. Next thing you know, it'll be something else. And I was looking up the charges last night what it possibly could be. Oh my God, it's plenty of things. I mean, I think he took a kid's candy, and they're trying to get him for that too. So.
And last but not least, Jim, is this political?
I don't see how we can argue that it isn't. And I'm not a Trump fan. I mean, yeah, he's dirty. Anybody that rich has done stuff. I don't like him personally, but the IRS just went to Matt Taibbi's house, suppressing negative information to help his chance of winning. That's called campaigning. We have a DA that won't prosecute crime in his own city. He put a guy in jail. He rescinded it for shooting a guy who had already shot him twice in self-defense. This isn't about justice. It's a victimless crime for the most part. And when you have, why isn't Mayorkas being charged? She has dereliction of duty. There's rape, child trafficking, drugs, all this. He's not doing his job. So guilty or not, or whether he should be charged in a perfect world, this is a precedent that is being set that has no business being there. Now, they've had their chance to fry him for 6 years, and they're just going to keep trying.
On that note, I read something today. It said Trump has been subjected to the most aggressive, well-financed, open-ended investigation in the history by the DOJ, state AGs, private investigators, media organizations, and weaponized Five Eyes intelligence agencies. And all they found were allegations of paying a former mistress to be quiet. What is your thought on that, Joe?
I think that's just clearly not true. He's also been caught on camera telling the Georgia DA or Secretary of State that they have to find 11,800 votes to flip the state, and they're pushing forward with an investigation there. He's been caught falsifying his tax forms. Just saying to the bank this building's worth $1 billion, and then telling the IRS it's worth $100 million, so he doesn't have to pay capital gains. He over and over again. He's famous down here in Philly, Atlantic City, and New York for stiffing small business owners, saying, hey, I'm not going to give you that last check, but I'll use you next time. The guy's been a scumbag his entire life. He's skated for 40 years by throwing shit into the political justice system until his opponents run out of their term or they run out of money. And this is the first time that he's finally had a clear-cut case. There's clear contribution limits of $5,500 per person. The $130,000 that Michael Cohen paid to Stormy Daniels to repress the story that she had sex with him 2 weeks before the election is a campaign contribution, because it was said that specifically it was done to prevent that from hurting his chances to get elected. And then they paid him $430,000 to get him made whole after taxes. He's caught on tape that Cohen took saying, said, just give it to her in cash. And Cohen said, no, it has to be through this LLC. This is just one of the clearest cases of campaign fraud, finance fraud in history. And if you don't charge him, you make him above the law. And we had a war 250 years ago to prove that no one in this country is above the law.
Oh, sake.
Should people be targeted by the law?
Hold on, Bill and Jim are chomping at the bit. Ed, take us to our first commercial before these two pass out.
Hello, my name's Ian Hill. And when I'm not training to be the oldest man to play NCAA Division I college football, I'm the CEO of NGBN TV. Our mission's pretty simple. Educate, equip, entertain, support, and inspire men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. It's a one-stop shop for all that a man in his middle ages needs to be his best. So once you come and join us, come and be a part of NGBN TV. Now back to our show.
Welcome back to your new favorite show, Decades. Make sure you keep subscribing and sharing on YouTube and all other social media avenues. I was fully expecting Bill or Jim to come back on screen with some eye black or taped up ankles or something after Joe just Joe threw a couple haymakers out there, and Judge is waiting in the wings. So is Jimmy Mack. But Bill, I'm going to go to you first. Go ahead.
Well, I know Joe's been drinking the Kool-Aid, and that's okay. He said something. No one is above the law, and I agree with that. But I also believe no one should be targeted by the law, and that's what's happening here.
What do you mean if he's been drinking the Kool-Aid?
It's actually an old fashioned, but thanks.
Well, he rattled off a list of allegations, which most of which he said aren't included in this indictment. What matters is what was in this indictment and what specific federal crimes did he break that are cited in that indictment. I don't know. Maybe the judge can answer that.
Judge?
Well, the federal crime that he's that ties into the business records that makes it a felony is the campaign finance violations. He claimed it was a retainer services for legal services, and the paperwork shows it wasn't that. It was simply a cash payments to Stormy Daniels. There's also cash payments to Karen McDougal, the 1998 Playmate of the Year, and also to a doorman who alleged that he could prove Trump had an illegitimate child. So there's a pattern of him using these funds to pay off people.
Was it his money or did his attorney pay him?
The allegation is that his attorney paid him. He paid his attorney back for that and mischaracterized it as a business record as legal services.
And is there a statute of limitations issue here?
No, it's not on this, no. I mean, there is a statute of limitations, but it was filed within the statute of limitations.
Jim Gingrich?
I have a few names to throw out. Maxine Waters, 1.2 million, funneled to her daughter. Stacey Abrams, AOC, Warnock. I'm not going to argue with Joe about Trump being not a great person and probably done illegal things. But again, right now we're talking a victimless crime. I'll tell you what we're missing while we're talking about this on the show. Russians arresting American journalists. India, China, Brazil dumping US dollar. OPEC oil cuts. Chinese spy balloon now gathered more information than we were told. Biden completely lied. House weaponizing hearing is going on. We're not hearing this because everybody's talking about Trump. What do you think is more important to the future of our country? Getting rid of a guy who probably can't win the next election, or facing these things that are happening because we're polarized and busy chasing Trump for 6 fucking years instead of paying attention to the country and the people here that pay the taxes that want to handle these things? That's my opinion on it. Even CNN, MSNBC, Newsweek, Trump's indictment is a blunder of historic proportions. The left media, Jen Psaki said, Democrats, keep your head down. This is not something you want to get into. It's a clown show. It's a circus. It's ridiculous right now.
Let's go to the judge real quick, and then Ed, I want my video clip pulled up. Just the first 20 seconds of it, please. Go ahead, Judge.
Well, I don't know how you can say it's political since there's been legal proceedings for Trump's business dealings as far back as the 70s in New York. And as far as polarizing the nation, Trump's the one that did that, not this indictment. Trump has been able to wear every single civil lawsuit down by paying people off or just throwing money and time at it until they wear it out. Criminal justice system's different. You can't wear out the DAs, you can't wear out the Justice Department. So I think it's going to be a good thing to see what comes of it. Maybe they can't tie this new legal theory in. Maybe they can. But I don't think it's victimless when you've got somebody subverting campaign finance laws.
What about Kinzinger and Pelosi? That was not victimless. They held people in prison for 3 years for a made-up story when cops walked people in. That's a crime that we should be worried about.
Yeah, when the government does it, you can subject the criminal justice system. When the government's behind it, how do you beat the government at its own game? What Jim is saying is right. Those people who got jailed during the January 6th, I'm not saying they didn't break a law, but they're Americans that are entitled to justice. They did not get it. Whereas the Antifa BLM guys not only had their felonies, they burned down goddamn courthouses in Portland reduced down to misdemeanors. No one said a word. That's not equal justice.
Let me go to Jimmy Mack real quick, and then we'll go to my clip.
Well, to talk to Bill, there's been a lot of not equal justice, even when you move fast on cases. I mean, a lot of people I knew growing up got non-equal justice with fast-moving cases. But when it comes to answering about Trump, he's painted a target on himself. He's always done this. I mean, look at what he did after he got arrested. He threw a whole album release party down in Mar-a-Lago. I thought he was about to spit one of the best albums ever with everything going on. They had USA chants. They had USA chants. I mean, he's taking this and he's using this for himself. To him, it's like the Hollywood saying, there's no bad media. There's no bad information about you. Everything boosts up your level. They're talking about how he's going to be the candidate. This is only making him stronger. I feel like he's the emperor in Star Wars. Like, it's just making him stronger. His death is going to make him stronger. I mean, he's just coming. This is a joke to him because he knows that for years he's beaten our justice system. He feels that he can do it now because he's been untouchable in the justice system for a long time. Like Judge said, since the 70s, he's been just getting people and he's been just doing dirt. This is, and I agree with James. We have bigger fish to fry in this country than messing around with this guy, but he should have been put in jail a long time ago. He's never was qualified to be a president or the leader of a book club. So let's just get that out there. This is not.
Hey, well, I'd like to read a quote to you guys.
It's about moral obligation to stop people like him from ever being in charge of a country again.
So here's a quote that came out a couple of days ago. No one is above the law, and everyone has the right to prove their innocence. Who said it? And
that
you
was
guys
Pelosi.
agree with that? Pelosi, that's right. And what's wrong with that statement?
Nothing wrong with it, but a lot of people have not been able to prove they're innocent because of the crooked system too. So,
wait, the U.S. the criminal justice system assumes you're innocent until they prove you guilty. That's the law. That's the law.
What I've seen, not from what I've seen in a lot of people.
I'm just saying it may not be the practice, but that's the law.
Ed, let's show the first 20 seconds of my clip, please.
For you, one big picture, what do you think of the indictment?
Well, speaking as someone who very strongly does not want Donald Trump to get the Republican presidential nomination, I'm extraordinarily distressed by this document. I think this is even weaker than I feared it would be. And I think it's easily subject to being dismissed or a quick acquittal for Trump. Just speaking, going back to the days when I represented Jim Buckley.
So there is a hashtag going on right now. It says even CNN. Because hashtag even CNN, because even CNN right now is blowing it up saying, oh my gosh, we thought that we'd have much more. It's a nothing burger. But you'll also see CNN running with this 24 hours a day now, because in the last, was it 2.5 years, CNN's ratings, they've lost 60 million viewers. So this is going to be like the O.J. Simpson trial of them. They're going to be going crazy. Jimmy Mack?
No, I mean, when you see this is what I feel what CNN is mad at. They didn't get all the iffy details because that's what they've been talking about. Oh, the GA doesn't have to go ahead and put everything out there in the public, but we wish he would have. And that's where it seems like everybody's losing their stuff. That he could have just gave the whole power play. We got this document, we got that document, we got this and that. He doesn't probably want to put that out there because he knows that Trump can find ways to counter it. He can find ways to do that. His legal team can counter that. So why would I put out my play? Why would I put that out there? This is everything that I got. This is everything that we're trying to get him for. With the public, we have no say-so in this trial. The grand jury and whoever is trying this, those are the people that are the major players. He can lose in the court of public opinion. That doesn't mean that he's going to get charged with anything. Or he can be innocent in the court of public opinion and get charged with everything. So us knowing all the iffy details, that's not for us. That's for them to do. Because I'm going to have to go to work. I ain't going to be watching CNN or watching the trial while I'm at work. Let them handle that. I don't need all the iffy details. Tell me if he's innocent or guilty based on going to trial. That's what I need.
I'm glad you brought up Alvin Bragg. Does anyone have any issue or thought on Alvin Bragg? Since he's been head of New York City, he's downgraded 52% of the felonies in 2022 alone to misdemeanors. Now you have a misdemeanor, allegedly, that's going to be, what's the bigger one, Judge? I just forgot. Felony. Jesus, yeah. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
The way it's charged, it is a felony because he got a campaign finance violation that was contradictory to the campaign finance law, federal campaign finance law. So by using business records inappropriately, he broke another law. That makes it a felony.
But Judge, how is it
my
not?
original part though? The 52% of the felonies in 2022 to misdemeanors. Like
I think you'll see
no
that
one else-
anywhere. The court systems would be totally backed up and inoperable if you didn't see that. You see that everywhere. That's probably a common statistic.
Well, it is in states like Illinois, and you know how that's working out for Illinois? Let me read this.
It's like that in states like Florida.
Number one, Chicago's leading the pack when it comes to a very progressive activist prosecutor who reduces felonies left and right. And here's where they are. Number one nationally in homicides, 11 years in a row. So those poor kids living in the inner city, black kids mostly, get murdered every day. No one gives a shit about them. All right. Everyone, you don't even hear about it. 11 years in a row at number one. They're the number two, even in their vast size, they're the number two homicide rate amongst the nation's largest cities, 5 times bigger than New York, and about the size of El Salvador in terms of its crime rate or murder rate. So, I mean, you've got these guys who are ignoring laws, ignoring victims, and ignoring rising crime rates to advocate their progressive policies. That's not working. Judge, we're a nation of law and order. What happened to that?
Ignore this because of those? That doesn't make any sense. That's like saying people that come into court and say, well, the guy next to me was speeding also. That doesn't matter.
Trump's not going to come rape you.
When aren't laws?
I don't know. One of his
aren't laws.
Maybe.
if you're not going to enforce them, why have a law?
Well, I think there's an issue of how they're enforced, but I don't think you can tie Chicago's crime rate to a single prosecutor.
If he's the one letting them out over and over and
aggravated
over.
assault, all these things where they hurt people.
There's other factors. There's other
That's
factors.
statistics saying the people he let out did this.
For sure. It's a more complex thing than that. But what I'm saying is, in those cities, I mean, just take a look in San Francisco, they got rid of their prosecutor. LA, that guy's been up. The one in Chicago, there's something in common. They're all very, very progressive prosecutors that have kind of gone rogue. They're doing their own thing.
Jimmy Mack, I'm coming back to you, but I'm coming back to you right after this commercial.
Whatever you're trying to do with your life, whether you're trying to grow or heal something or get to that next level, it all comes back to your mind and understanding that your mind and your nervous system create a system. So I'm Carlin Fisher. I'm a mind sculpting consultant and speaker. I have a 90-day course I'd love to share with you in the link. Take care.
Welcome back to your favorite news show, Decades, on the NGBN.TV network. Welcome back to James, Joe, Jimmy Mack, myself, Ed, who is the man behind everything, the judge, and Bill Geiser. Jimmy Mack, you were waiting, and then we're going to go to Joe because this might be the longest I've ever not heard Joe, and I'm a little nervous.
Just like, first of all, we're talking about crime rates. First of all, these prosecutors, they're not Batman. They're not out there fighting crime. It's not like he took vacation in crime roles. The people are out there committing crimes all the time. And I know you say the poor kids in Chicago and stuff like that. Those are the ones that's killing each other. I mean, and I hate to say that because those are the ones that are out there committing these crimes. So when we're trying to drop people to lesser charges and stuff like that, none of that really has nothing to do with Trump. I'm sorry. We're talking and focusing and concentrating on Donald Trump and what he's doing. The kids in Illinois, Louisiana, Florida, LA, Philly, they has nothing to do with Trump right now. What we're seeing right now, as James said earlier, is a circus, and it's been a circus. Remember, they had the show on Showtime, The Circus. It is about Trump's presidency and how Trump got this rise of power. Right now, we have become a tabloid country. Right now, this man has some serious crimes that he has to answer for. We're a tabloid country. You want the biggest headline, and I personally think they're trying to find the biggest case to stick it to this guy. You know, and they could have found a lot of things, but they want something that's going to stick, that he'll be known for, and they can get rid of him. A lot of people, I even think a lot of Republicans are sitting there clapping for him. I think they secretly want him to go down as well because they're tired of him. And I think the United States should be tired of him by now. So I think when it comes to all this the crime rate and all that stuff has nothing to do with Trump. It's about people going after Trump or Trump painting a target on his back for people to come get him. And I think he's laughing and teasing and looking out the car, licking his tongue out of this. Like, I dare y'all to come get me. So this is what this is about. All those other crime rates.
If you're just watching from the outside world, Jimmy Mack, wouldn't someone look at this and say, okay, they've been going after this guy. Literally, they spied on his campaign. They've been going at him for 6 years hard. And I mean, literally just nonstop. And every single year, every other 6 months, it's like, okay, they got him on this one. Oh, how many times did you hear on CNN or MSNBC or Fox, the bombshell? This is it. This is it. This is it. This is it. And then all of a sudden, it's like, then it just dissolves.
Because personally, I think what it is a bunch of people. It's a bunch of people tripping over each other to get the biggest crime to pin on him. That's what it is. I think it's not that it's just dissipating. It's just that they're bumbling idiots trying to get this guy. It's like the Keystone Cops. That's what I'm thinking. It's like the Keystone Cops. They have proof. They can get him on plenty of things. But what's going to make him go away? So they just trip on each other and trip on each other and trip on each other until they don't really have a case. I mean, the best case to really get him on is the one in Georgia. That's the best one. You know, or even the inciting a riot on January 6th. He excited a riot. If I was on social media and said, go burn his mother down, and somebody burned something down, and it was seen that they was listening to what I said, I get prosecuted for that because I incited a riot.
About Maxine Waters?
You can get him on those type of things.
But Jimmy Mack, just to bring up a point here, you know that he didn't say, he said go protest peacefully.
He said, I'll be there with you. I will be there with you. I'll be walking down the street with you. And then went and cowered in the White House while they were causing mayhem.
But if he says protest peacefully, and then did you know that Twitter took down his 2 tweets that said protest peacefully, and they didn't reinstate him until Elon bought it?
Yeah, okay. Like we really he could say that, but we know that's not what he meant. Come on now. Come on now.
So now you can't go on what people say or what you're going to. Hold on. Where are you going with it? Are you saying hold on, Ed. Are you going with what people say or what they mean? That's what I don't know.
We know exactly what he meant when he was up there on that podium spewing lies that the election was stolen. We should go down there and we should talk to Congress. What people going there talking about getting the vice president, his own buddy. They talking about go get him and kill him and stuff. That man excited a riot. And we know because
you thought he said something.
Legal jargon to let him go on that. I'm telling you, if I said let's burn his mother down, I could be talking about the barbecue in my backyard. Somebody went and burnt something down, they can get me on it. They can get me on it. If they were out there riding, they can get me on it. So no, I don't want him to get off on that technicalities. No, we know what he was doing. We know the lies that he spewed about the election. Go get him on that. That should have been the main thing that we be worried about. Forget all this other stuff. Go get him on that because that was wrong. People got hurt. People died.
Okay, so hold on. You're going Keystone Cops here. Are you saying go after him for this campaign finances or go after him for the January 6th alleged?
I'm saying go after him for January 6th because his campaign finances, like Judge said.
Okay, so now we got to squash this one. We're going to stop doing this one. We're going to go to the next one.
No, I mean, yeah, that's what they're going to do. I tell you, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to go after him for something else. If you get off of this, they're going to go after him for something else. Okay. I'm going to say he did something to me so they can go get him for that too.
Okay, Joe, what is your thoughts on Jimmy Mack's little rage right there?
I mean, I think if you zoom in on a painting so much that you only see one color, it's very easy to say this isn't a painting. Taking any one comment out of context, Rubio isn't going to show the full multi-month campaign. They had a campaign event in December of 2019 or whatever, after the election, but before January 6th. And they literally had the password for the Wi-Fi, see you on the 6th. But that doesn't matter because that's not what this is about. How about this? How many people here are really upset about Alejandro Ortiz? How about Scott Kirkland? James Gardner? Jose Palmer? Those are the last 4 companies in the last 5 years that were all charged with the exact same crime as Trump today. Rubio, Jimmy Mack, James, Bill, Judge, you guys are all right. The problem is that it goes back to something we talked about in our first episode. The news is broken. It's so divorced from reality that it's nothing except this show designed to piss us off and make us like nothing except like argue with straw men. That one of the quotes from that book I talked about on that episode, the Society of the Spectacle, that said that we don't actually live in reality anymore. We just create these pictures and images that represent reality. So far from realizing philosophy, the spectacular philosophizes reality, and it turns the material life of everyone into a universe of speculation. This should be nothing more than a man who is being accused by the state for a crime and getting his day in court as a private citizen. Everything else is the politics and the money that people are trying to make off of it. He should get his day in court in front of a jury of his peers, just like you, me, or anyone else. And I think everything else is just bullshit that people are spewing to advance their own agendas.
Jim Gingrich.
So let's say I agree with you. Burn them down. No one's above the law. I do agree with you. Then fucking Pelosi, Schiff, they should be in jail. It's proven that they lied. It's proven that they turned down police help. You have Mayorkas, I brought up earlier. He should be charged by the states. He's not following federal law. He's allowing egregious things to happen daily. Hunter Biden, gun laws, we talked about that. Hunter Biden should be in jail. They already know there's 122 suspicious action reports with Biden. I mean, these people flat out sat up there and lied. They've done things that have actually harmed people, and we've decided to chase down Trump because we don't like him. I mean, I don't know how anybody could say it's not political. It is. It can also be that he deserves it, yes. But they have never done this to a president over something so small. Clinton was doing all kinds of stuff. Hillary had mail. That could hurt people. That hurt our national security. Did we prosecute her? No. Yes, Trump said, put her in jail, Shannon. We've never done that. So to me, this isn't a talk about indictment. It's a talk about precedents that we set. So if we're going to set that, I'm fine. Then fucking get every one of them in court and we'll spend all our taxpayer litigating this shit because they're all criminals.
Lock them up. Lock them up.
Yeah.
Get them out of here. If they broke the law, get them out.
Bill Geiser.
Every single one of them. It doesn't matter if it's a D, an R, an L, an N, whatever letter. Lock them up. Have a prosecutor put together a case and lock them up. It shouldn't have to be this giant hurdle to clear just because they've held some political office. They should be held to the exact same standard as Ed, as Jimmy Mack, as Bill, as me. It shouldn't matter that Queen Pelosi was in charge of the House for 25 years. Like that is all bullshit too. But you just mentioned like Hillary's emails. We just heard Trump specifically went down into his basement of stolen federal secure documents after the indictment said, here, let me take these ones and move them up to my office. That hurt people. Just because he wanted to be able to show his rich friends in Mar-a-Lago, check out this Chinese nuclear weapon they have. Like, that's ridiculous.
But Joe, they also found things that Pence, who everyone says is square as square could be. Joey B's house in Delaware, they found stuff. I mean, every single.
Not after he reported it. He didn't move it to his office and hide it after they got the.
And that would see, and that's my point. Is that was also the next big bombshell. And then they found out Joey B has some in Delaware, and then the Pence even has some, and he's as vanilla as can be. Bill Geiser, you've been waiting anxiously.
One of the things we haven't talked about are what are the longer range repercussions of this? And I think there's two big ones. I think domestically, this opens up Pandora's box in terms of retribution. I think this sort of going after political opponents, and let's face it, that's what this is. Whether you want to agree that he's guilty or not, what we're doing is they're throwing the book and everything they got at trying to jail the leading political candidate. And if you're in a third world nation looking at the United States, who has pontificated democracy for so many years, now you're going to turn around and say, go fuck yourselves with your democracy talk. All right. That's number one. Number two, international, that's what I'm saying. Internationally, we've lost our high ground, the moral high ground with them. And I do believe that you'll see MAGA prosecutors, just like there are these progressive prosecutors that are going to try to make names for themselves by doing the same thing Bragg is doing to Trump. Happens all the time.
Ed, can you play my first clip of the real long one, but only like the 30 seconds?
And you know who's going to suffer? All of us. All of us are going to suffer because isn't that prosecutor's job to protect the citizens of that community? What are they doing wasting time going after Trump? What's the crime rate in New York right now? I'll bet it's pretty high. And this clown is going after Trump.
I'm gonna go to the judge, but I want Bill. You brought up one of my clips, and you didn't even know you did it. Ed, you have my clip ready?
Who is about to launch another campaign. So how do you reassure them, if that is the reason for their questioning, that the former president will not return, or that his political movement, which is still very strong, will not once again take power in the United States?
Well, we just have to demonstrate that he will not take power by, if he does run, making sure he, under legitimate efforts of our Constitution, does not become the next president again.
That's from 4 months ago. I mean, that kind of sounds exactly like what Bill Geiser was just saying, how they're basically trying to get Joey B's trying to get El Trumpo not to run. Okay, I mean, that's literally from a White House press conference. Judge, you keep shaking your head. Go ahead.
I can't believe you guys, you have no history of Trump. As Joe said, and I think Jim said, it goes back to the 70s. He's still got a $250 million lawsuit against him in New York over his business dealings, his overvaluing his assets to get loans and then undervaluing them for the IRS. That's still ongoing. He's got all of these other things that are probably going to come out. Like Joe said, that the January 6th and the Georgia things are going to be much worse. But I'd like to point out, and this is kind of for Bill, since it's from the Southern District of Florida, where federal district judge, Judge Middlebanks, dismissed the lawsuit against Hillary Clinton and the FBI that Trump had filed and carried on for years, and dismissed it, fined him $1 million, and to quote Judge Middlebrooks, said he's the mastermind of strategic abuse of the judicial process. And that's what he's done his whole career. People aren't after him. He's made this bed over 30, 40 years, and he's gotten away with it, and now he's getting his comeuppance. It's that simple. And as far as you point out the Biden and Pence documents, they did not ignore a subpoena, which is what he's being charged with in that case. They've willingly turned over those documents, unlike him. So it's black and white difference.
Okay, but
the first time they went after that ever.
I was going to say they didn't have to subpoena them because they already brought it up. I mean, Joey B's had it for how many times? How many years he had those documents?
4 places.
We're not talking about how long they've had the documents. We're talking if you ignore a validly issued judicial subpoena to do something. That's what
you have a DOJ that's weaponized. You can't deny that because all these people had those, Judge. So why haven't they went after them? Why is Trump the poster boy for everything they're after? They let all this go with everybody else constantly, but it's him. It's always the precedent setting with him.
That ought to tell you something. That ought to tell you
Trump
something.
is the poster boy for bad stuff. That's why.
Bingo.
You're gonna go
Right. Biden's pretty much a pedophile and deals with China, and we elected him.
Trump deal with Russia. We elected him.
No, he didn't. That was a fake story that they should be in jail for creating and using our Department of Justice to do it. They had the entire federal Justice Department chasing him over Russia collusion. Guess what happened? Nothing, because it was them making shit up.
Kind of like
they admitted to that. That's admitted. The guy lied. He made up the whole Steele dossier. A lie. There was nobody helping Trump on that. That was the entire Department of Justice, the left, everybody. He wasn't found guilty of that because it didn't happen.
Judge
probably wasn't found guilty because it would look bad.
And they did a whole more extensive investigation of Hillary Clinton's emails, and she wasn't charged.
If you have private emails, government emails at home, what's there not to charge?
Was she charged?
She deleted them so they couldn't prove it.
No, I don't think that's it.
That is what she did.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally been proven. I mean,
she deleted them, but that wouldn't affect the legal case.
Well, how would you know that though? How do you know what's on there?
You were talking
not all
about
of it like Jimmy Mack, where we can see things.
You were talking about the documents. Same thing with emails throughout the government system, and that's what they were told during that investigation. That happens to Republicans, happens to Democrats, everybody throughout the government with those emails.
I'm just struggling. I get that he might deserve it or have his comeuppance. I'm not going to argue that, but I don't understand how anybody could not see that we have a weaponized Justice Department chasing one man when all this, Mayorkas, I'll say it all night. That guy is residing over people being raped, murdered, drugs running in the country. The states should have him removed and put in jail. We don't care about that. It's Trump. I'm sick of Trump. It's been 6 years. Why don't we, if we're going to do this, then everybody gets handcuffed and hauled off. I'm fine with that. Do it.
Let's go to our last commercial break, Ed.
Hey guys, I'm Brian Jodas with Pick Up the Six Productions. Join us every week as we share stories with you about people who have gone above and beyond through service, purpose, and impact. We're talking with incredible people, including special operators like Navy SEALs, Green Berets, and combat controllers. We also get to know community leaders, endurance athletes, and people that will inspire you. I'm grateful to be part of this growing movement at ngbn.tv with you, and I look forward to seeing you at Pick Up the Six.
Welcome back to your new favorite show, Decades, on the NGBN.TV network. Thanks for doing a great job of subscribing on YouTube and sharing it all across social media avenues. Question for the judge. Is there an issue here that the daughter of the judge presiding over this case worked for the Biden-Harris campaign?
I don't know how involved she is in this thing. I mean, in any large office, you're going to get certain types of potential conflicts where you're required to build a Chinese wall where those people can't be involved in that portion of it. So I don't think that's an issue.
But isn't it kind of fucked up that Eric or Don, whatever Trump spawned, tweeted the name and picture of the daughter of the judge on Truth Social? Isn't that doxing? Isn't that unethical regardless of what you think?
He tweeted an article from Breitbart. So he's just retweeted an article. That's all he did. So you should yell at Breitbart, not
I'm yelling at the person that put it out to his huge multi-million person following and doxed someone that is supposedly has his father's freedom in their hand. I mean, to me, that's insane.
So you're upset with Breitbart?
I'm upset with anyone who thinks it's okay to try to intimidate a judge with a ravenous cult of fans before even pretrial motions start.
So you're upset with AOC when she did it to Kavanaugh, when they raked him through the coals and they were giving out judges' addresses?
If you want to what about all night, Rubio, we absolutely can. I'm just telling you that's fucked up. I'm not AOC. I can make a judgment on what happened today.
You want to go after Junior El Trumpo. So I'm saying, okay, so tick for tack. So you're when they made up all that stuff about Kavanaugh and he's drinking beers and raping girls when he's 11 instead of being the Eagle Scout that he was. What about that?
You were there, you know?
No,
it wasn't allowed to be questioned in court before he got a lifetime appointment.
No, he's older than I am. Jimmy Mack, what do you think about that? About the judge presiding over the case, daughter?
I'm with the judge. I mean, if she ain't got nothing to do with it, if they can freeze her out. I mean, she just works there. They can get somebody else to replace her. I mean, but you know, if you want to make a big deal about it, we can make a big deal about anything. She's a part of a powerful family. They probably got her a hookup to work there, and now we got this case there. You could just boot her for a while. Ain't nothing gonna happen to her. It's not like she's losing money. She rich. She gonna be all right.
What's the panel's thoughts? Because I'm hearing two different things here. I'm hearing El Trumpo is the dirtiest, dumbest human being since I think the judge said since the 70s. And then on the flip side, I'm hearing, but since he has not been convicted, he can't be the dumbest. He's got to be the smartest.
So I don't think nobody said he was dumb. I just think a lot of people said
you're saying that he keeps falling into these things. Smart. He's the slimiest person on the planet. So is he the smartest slimy person on the planet?
To be slimy, you can surround yourself with a lot of smart people. He probably have a lot of people around him who know laws, know how to get around laws, and know how to grease enough palms to get him out of all this trouble. I mean, he's been doing it for years. I don't think Trump is this mega mind, this evil genius. He's just a guy who's well connected and can do things or have people do things for him so he don't get out of trouble. I mean, look at all the people that's part of his cabinet and stuff, are part of his political. All those people were being indicted for crimes and going to jail, but it always seemed to miss him. The Anvils miss him. The Acme Anvils miss him and get other people. So that shows you around him, either people are taking the fall for him or they know how to put stuff on other people so they can go down and he just walks away scot-free.
And this just happens to be the one case where his buddies, attorneys, friends, confidants, consigliaries forget to pay the alleged porn star Or I guess she's not an alleged porn star. Porn star. I guess that's confirmed. Alleged affair with campaign money. This was just the one time they're like, oh shit, we grabbed the wrong wallet here.
They probably never thought he was going to win. They're probably like, he's running. This is a joke. He's going to get some fame and go for that. Then they were like, oh, stuff. They didn't cover all their bases. And then they were like, oh, that girl that he went road dog in that does porn. Yes. Let's go pay her off. Go get
Everybody
her.
knows you just killed a hooker. You shouldn't have her pay her.
Nobody cares.
But go ahead, Jim. You were saying something?
I said everybody knows you just killed a hooker. They shouldn't have paid her, for crying out loud.
Bill Geiser, you've been quiet. Down to Bill Geiser. Bill.
I still maintain what I said at the beginning. I think this was political, and this kind of political gamesmanship, if you want to call it, has been around since the beginning of time. The term Machiavellian, well, that stands for this guy Niccolo Machiavelli, who said politics has no relation to morals. I mean, and that's from the 15th century. So you know what? There's going to be a lot of karma here. Maybe it's Trump's turn to get karma, but I guarantee you there's going to be retribution on the other foot. And I think we've just sort of muddied the political waters when the whole nation's sick of this shit. It's like, why don't we get back to business? Forget this. I want to kill him. I want to kill her. Right now, they're not doing the people's business. They're doing their own business, trying to keep themselves in office. And I'm tired of it. I mean, I'd like to see you wipe out the whole House, Senate. And like I said, I'm okay with Ed opening the phone book and randomly picking replacements. We do a lot better than what we got today.
I wasn't going to go to our final segment, but we are Bill, you started it off. So Jimmy, Matt, keep it going. What's your final thoughts?
Like Bill said, I agree with Bill. I mean, I forget the political philosopher that said this, but the job of the politician is to maintain power. So this is what all these people are doing. They just maintain power. They don't care about the rest of us. As long as they can stay in power, their friends in power, put their families in power, and keep this caste system that we have going, they could care less about if it's hurting the smaller man. Sometimes the smaller man ain't even involved in politics. It's not like we have 50% of the people in the country voting. It's not like we're doing that. It's just that the people that are involved that care, they're going to vote, but then they get thrown into this BS right here. And that's where it really hurts the rest of us moving forward.
Joe Nolan, final thoughts.
When a man unprincipled in private life, desperate in his fortune, bold in his temper, possessed of considerable talents, despotic in his ordinary demeanor, known to have scoffed in private at the principles of liberty, when such a man is seen to mount the hobby horse of popularity, to join in the cry of danger to liberty, to take every opportunity of embarrassing the general government and bring it under suspicion, to flatter and fall in with all the nonsense of the zealots of the day, it may be justly suspected that his object is to throw into confusion that he may ride the storm and direct the whirlwind. Alexander Hamilton wrote that in 1792. He saw this coming from a mile away. We are in the throes of a populace that is trying to just ride the wave of unrighteous indignation to avoid justice again, because money won't do it this time.
Very good quote, but I'm not to spark any fire here, but I wasn't sure that we were still listening to old guys like Alexander Hamilton after we tore down statues and all that, but we'll come back to that another episode. Judge, your final thought.
Well, I didn't leave Alexander Hamilton at the intermission like Rubio, but
you graduated high school with him.
I guess the only thing I would say is that if this is a conspiracy to get Trump, it's the widest, longest going on conspiracy I've ever heard of, through state government, through federal government, through Florida, through New York, through Georgia. The conspiracy is just amazing to me. So I don't think it's the conspiracy to get Trump. I think it's Trump finally earning his dues.
I would have said the longest conspiracy theory was walking on the moon, but we'll come back to that another episode as well. Jim Gingrich, your final thoughts.
Well, I do know what is a felony and has already proven that things were leaked. We know that. And you know that McCarthy's going to go after that. So I will say it again. This is viewed by more people than not, including left and those that we call in the bubble, that this is political weaponization. And we've seen it with the FBI. It's continuing, and the Republicans are going to start joining in, and it's going to be a shit show.
All right, back to me now, finally. I would say my final thought is this. No one is above the law. And if you're going to say that, I agreed with Joe. I think you just blow it all up. I think if you're going to say no one's above the law, then I would look back at the last 5 years, 6 years, and then go through everyone. Because it seems if you're looking from the left, you would say, okay, El Trumpo is way above the law. He's done this since the 70s, blah, blah, blah. But if you're looking from the right, you would say, okay, Joey B's family's been kind of a shit show the last couple of years where even NPR won't put out tweets about Hunter Biden's laptop because it's fake news. And then it turns out it is. Or the entire Rona issue where every conspiracy theory just came back to, oh yeah, maybe you guys were right. So if you're going to start doing the tick for tack, do it all the way. If you're going to do that, and then hire politicians or bring in politicians that literally, they don't even get paid. They're just doing that for the kindness of the heart because they want to make Lewiston, Idaho the best Lewiston, Idaho they can have, or the best Los Angeles, California they can have, or the best Tampa, or the best Philly, or the best post-fall, I think you live, Jim, and Ed, wherever you live in Virginia. But that's my thing. If you're going to do it, you're going to do it. You just got to do it all the way. You can't do this half-assed because it just becomes half-assed, and then everyone's just fighting. Oh, you did more to their side. You're not doing enough to my side. But if you come in with the big, broom that they clean up basketball courts with to mop the floors in between, then you do it all. We're past the point of the little dustbuster. Okay, we need the economy vacuum. As we had this great discussion, not all of us agreed. It's quite obvious. That's okay. We came from all over the country, all over the age groups, and we had a discussion. It's okay to have a discussion. It's okay to disagree on certain things, but we're still going to have a cheers to the end. But before we have our cheers, Ed, it's your turn to speak, my man. Who won? You cannot pick me. I know you want to.
No, I don't want to pick you, but I'm going to pick our newcomer judge because he was bringing the law and bringing the knowledge. So here's to the judge as our winner. Cheers to all you guys. Great job.
Cheers.
Great job.
Great job to everyone. Make sure you keep sharing and subscribing Decades on YouTube. Until next time.
Great time, guys.